Record.
On screen share.
Welcome to the Education Training Company. This training session is on COVID-19 and it's basically health and safety training for schools. Obviously, it's been a new pandemic, so we need to kind of put some new guidelines in play. So this is just a quick training session on a few important areas. So my name's James Barber. I'm a specialist education health and safety trainer. I've been working in this role for probably about 15 years now, going in and out of different schools and teaching them through different health and safety. It's not all about health and safety, it can be anything within the school, but that's kind of my role. So let's get to know who you guys are. I know your name, Louise, so if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Louise Barber and I work in a school and I am an assistant head teacher for years 3 and 4 within a primary school.
Okay, how long have you been doing that for?
I've been teaching now for probably about 16 years, but I've been an assistant head for the last 5 years.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's good. It's really good fun. Obviously, things have been very challenging recently, but yeah, still very much enjoy it. And I'm really pleased to be back in school with the children.
Oh, that's good to hear. And the next person.
Oh, hi, good morning. I'm Stephanie Milner. I also am an assistant head teacher in a primary school. Well, my school's actually a through school, it's primary and secondary, but I work with the children mainly in years 5 and 6 in the primary. And I think, as Louise said, it's definitely a very different time at the moment in schools, but it is good to be back.
Yeah, excellent. Now we're going to do a little bit of an icebreaker. So I'll go first. Basically, when all restrictions are lifted and everything's back to normal, where will be the first place you will go? So for myself, I've learned from this COVID thing that being away from people is the best thing. So I'd probably go somewhere remote, so like a remote island somewhere with limited people around and just somewhere relaxing. I don't even care where it is, just as long as it's nice and remote. So yeah, how about you guys? Where would you go?
I think for me, I would really like to travel back to see my family. I've not seen my family in a very long time, almost a year. So really, really missing seeing them. So I think for me, as soon as travel restrictions are lifted and I'm able to, I want to hop on a plane and go and see my granddad and my brothers and yeah, just spend some family time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think similar to Louise, I would really like to go back and see all my friends and family, but also I have celebrated a big birthday during the lockdown. I did turn 30 back in August and couldn't really go away to celebrate it. And I was originally planning on a little holiday to Sri Lanka to celebrate that. So I think as soon as the restrictions are lifted, then I'd definitely like to have that holiday and really celebrate my 30th again in style.
Yes, I mean, it's something we all need to do. It's been quite hard. It's been a hard year for everyone, I think, with the restrictions for everyone. But I think as soon as it's all lifted, everyone will start enjoying themselves again. Excellent. So let's get started. So basically, the aims and objectives for this training session, I've split it into 2 areas. The first one being maintain health and safety standards within your school. And what we want to get from that is just to be aware of the latest health and safety strategies, advice and strategies to support your school. So I'm going to go through probably about 10 of them, but focus on three in particular. The second part is going to be how to manage a COVID case. So within your school, if you have a case, it's kind of what guidelines do you follow in order to be the most proactive you can be and dealing with it most efficiently. So yeah, there are two areas. In between, there's got to be a couple little challenges, little tests, just to kind of keep it interesting for everyone. I don't want to just go reading through slides and boring you. So let's get going. Perfect. So first of all, I'd like to just do a little bit of a brainstorm. It's on a little program called Menti. So if you can go to that web address and put in that code, it's basically just what you already know about health and safety, because obviously you've been working in schools for some time, so you'll know quite a lot about health and safety. So it's just basically, if you can go to that website and then just kind of, I'll be able to kind of interact with you whilst you're putting your ideas on the screen, and then we can see what you already know. So if we can do that.
We can't see your screen anymore.
Okay.
I don't know if it's worth double clicking on it. I'm into Menti, but I can't see your screen sharing anymore.
Let me just double check. Screen share. Can you see it now?
It just says double click to enter full screen mode.
Okay. It's showing.
Mine says James Barber has started screen sharing, but I can't see your screen.
Okay.
It says I'm viewing, but I can't see anything. It's just black other than James Barber is sharing his screen.
Okay, not to worry. We'll try and work around that basically. Tell me, instead of writing it down, tell me what you already know about health and safety.
In general or related to COVID?
In general, really, whatever you think.
Well,
I think, sorry, Louise.
No, go on, Steph, it's fine.
I was just going to say the screen is back and Menti's back up. I don't know if you want, do you want us to just keep telling you or?
Yeah, let's do that. Otherwise, we'll run out of time. I think it's best if you just give me a few ideas. Basically that question there. What do you know about health and safety in your school? If you just give me a couple of ideas each, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I think within our school, we definitely know that health and safety is our main priority. We're obviously responsible for many, many children, and we have to take our responsibility to keep them safe in school very seriously. I think even at normal times, we have lots of different measures in place with our login system needing to have a card to get through gates and open doors. Obviously, we have our security staff who are on the perimeter of the school, ensuring that they know who's coming in and out. I think more with regards to COVID at the moment, we're very conscious about socially distancing children, which is very challenging, but we are trying to make sure that they are keeping that distance from each other as much as possible.
I think very similar to Steph, obviously health and safety is number one priority within any school setting, particularly with the number of children. Like Steph said, ensuring that we have the right adults in school, making sure that we keep the actual school environment safe, but related to COVID, social distancing, but also hygiene measures as well. So things like hand washing, making sure that the school is properly cleaned at regular intervals.
Okay, great. So yeah, both sound like you've got a good initial understanding. So that's a good start. I think it kind of structure how today is going to go. I think it's always easy when people know a little bit about it to start with as well. So let's get into the kind of the learning activities. So basically, making the school safe. What additional procedures can we put in place to keep children safe in schools? So there's a number of different areas. I think the top three of what we're going to go into a bit more detail. So I won't really do too much. We'll see that in a bit. But basically, temperature checks. As you do, you're getting that everywhere you go at the moment. Any building you go in, you're getting your temperature checked. Physical social distancing, so keeping away from everyone. Designated entry and exit points to further support social and physical distancing. I think this is very important in schools, and you'll see in a bit later when I go into a bit more detail. Wearing of masks is mandatory for everyone, not just children, staff. Everyone needs to wear them if you're going in the school or out the school. Then limited movement of children during the day, so making sure the children are staying in their bubble and not going to different classrooms. Sterilisation and cleaning procedures, so being a bit extra cautious. You can see that picture there of a sanitation bottle. I imagine you've all got one of them in your handbags. As you say, everyone's a bit more cautious now. And then the increased focus on hand washing and sanitizing. So taking more time washing your hands, making sure the children are washing their hands properly, and sanitizing in a bit more detail. For example, if you've used an iPad, to use like a Dettol wipe to clean the screen, things like that. Just to being a bit more extra cautious going forward. Excellent. So the first area which is very important, I think, is temperature checks. So do temperature checks detect coronavirus? So the simple answer to that's no. They're only a measure of temperature. A high temperature or fever is just one common symptom of the virus. There is plenty of other different areas. So if your smell or taste disappears, if you're tired, if you're getting headaches, nausea, there's a lot of different areas, but temperature checks is one of these things, and it's quite a simple procedure for us to do. But as you say, not everyone who gets a high temperature is infected with coronavirus. You could just have a flu, or you might even have a temperature and you still have coronavirus. So it's just one extra string we can kind of follow. So with that, why do we conduct these temperature checks? Just because it's an indicator, basically. It indicates if this person is ill, if they've got a high temperature. If you're showing a high temperature, you can put measures in place before if they go to school and they've got a temperature, you can put, if you take it before they're in school, you see they've got a high temperature, then you can put the measures in place beforehand. So it's important to do so. Any questions on this at this moment?
No. I think just the first question would be like, how would you make sure that you're temperature checking? Like, how would you do it properly, and how would you make sure that you're doing it correctly?
Okay, I will be going into a bit more detail on the next slide. In fact, I'll answer that question shortly, because I will go into more detail, and I think you'll be able to see it will answer your question for you. If I move on to the next slide, is how should we check temperatures within schools, which is kind of what your question was. So all members of staff and pupils should have their temperature checked prior to entering the building. So you've got to kind of think of the logistics of that. So you've got to picture your school and how you would set out doing that. I think it's important to get the understanding, because every school's different, and how you'd work out the logistics to do that. But basically, you should have a member of staff on the front gate or front different gates, checking the temperatures of the children at the start and throughout the day. Basically, as you can see in the picture, there's a young lady scanning a young girl's temperature using one of these little things. You probably would have seen these and had these used on you many a time, but it's just a simple temperature checker. Best thing to do is scan it on your forehead. And as you see, I'm 37, so I'm actually quite hot, but the room's quite warm, so that's one. And you'll see some places do your wrist, which you find quite inaccurate, because as you saw, I was 37 then. When I did my list, I'm 36.3. So there's a difference between being high, having a fever, and not having a fever just by doing it from your wrist and your head. So I'd always advise to do the forehead, as it's the most accurate measurement. As I mentioned, the temperature should be 37.5 and below. So anything above 35.5, you've got to kind of start putting your safeguarding measures, making sure that your child doesn't go into the school building, because there is a potential they might have symptoms of coronavirus or even a flu. So if the temperature is high, the child or staff member should not access the school. Yeah, I've just mentioned that. And then they should follow up with the healthcare advisor. So reach out to their doctors and mention that they've got a high temperature. Any staff member needs to leave the school, make sure they're checked, entry and out and coming back in. And try and leave the school as many less times as possible. Try and just leave at the end of the day unless it's an emergency. So did that answer your question, Louise?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, great. Next area I'm looking to look at is the increasing of entry and exit points from drop-off and collections from schools. I think this is quite important, just for the fact you don't want everyone coming in at the same time and then there being a bottleneck of people having their temperatures checked, people not social distancing. So it's basically what I've kind of thought about is extended drop-off time, so that the traffic flow and numbers accessing the site are spread and minimalised. So it's not always possible with some smaller schools, but if you're in a large school with a number of different entries, you can do that and look to put different year groups in at different times. So for example, year 1, 8:20, year 2, 8:40, or whatever timescale your school uses. Yeah, I'd try and minimise people dropping off. So just one parent, not the whole family coming to drop off the child for the school day. Don't want anyone in the school apart from the children and yourselves, the teachers. No communication with parents. Set up things like this. Set up Zoom meetings. Don't kind of put anyone at risk by having meetings when it can be done very efficiently this way. Then everyone entering the school should be wearing a mask. We touched on that earlier about wearing masks. It is standard in the country we're in at the moment, where we need to wear masks anyway. So it becomes second nature, I think. It's probably just the younger children who are not in will try and take it up and start messing with it. You've got to kind of look at factoring in how to manage that a little bit, I think. Okay, any questions on this slide? No?
Sorry, James, just a quick one. I know you talked a lot about maybe the staggered entry there into the school as well. Would you recommend that we do that at the end of the day as well then for pickup?
Yeah, I think try and follow the same format. Each year group has a separate exit point and does it that way. Just try and use a bit of common sense. Obviously, there'll be people going at different times, parents coming trying to collect. Yeah, as I say, each school's different, and it's how your facilities can manage it. You don't want one year one coming out an hour and 2 hours before the last year, so you don't want everyone leaving. It's just kind of making it as flexible as possible. I do have some more information which I will email you about this, so then it can give you a few more ideas, because as I say, this is just a quick slide just to get you in the mindset, but I will send you more. All right, great. Next area is making your school safe again. So this is your classrooms and how to maintain that, keeping that safe. So the social distancing comes into play here. You need to organise your classrooms to maintain a 1.5 metre distance between all children and their teachers. If you look at the picture, you'll be able to see how I think a good example of how it is. You'll see the rectangle tables and a child sat at each end of the table. In fact, you can't see one sat at each end. There's only one per table on that example, but there is a perspex screen in between the tables as well. So you've got to, as I say, make sure it's everyone's 1.5 meters. Then give these children designated desks as well. For example, this girl sat at the front here. She can't go and sit on the desk over there in the afternoon. That's her designated working area. And yeah, she shouldn't move from that area, because that's where she's been sat, and she don't want to go somewhere else where there's potential increase in her risk of infections. And provide the children with their own separate resources, so pet stationery, which is their own, they're not to share these things. Workbooks, they're their own, not to share them. Put some extra sterilisation measures in place. So, for example, Dettol wipes on iPads, which I touched on earlier. Hand sanitizers, things like that. Just put these in the classroom, so then if you feel that there is a bit of cross-contamination, then you can kind of clean it up as quickly as possible. Yeah, children need to kind of stay in their classrooms all day in their pods, whereas before children would have gone to different lessons. For example, if they went to the French lesson, they would have travelled to the French class. We're trying to do it a bit different, where the teacher comes to them this time. So the teacher will come to the classroom rather than the children going to the class, just to limit you don't want 15, 20 children wandering around the corridors. So we're trying to minimize that movement throughout the day. And yeah, monitoring toilet breaks as well, making sure children will mess around and can get into mischief if they see their friend going to the toilet at the same time, just to make sure they're fully social distanced, and then kind of making sure they wash their hands properly. You know what children are like; they'll touch everything before washing their hands. You need to make sure that their hands are fully washed and they're not messing around. So I think that's quite important as well. Anything on this side? Is everyone okay?
I think I'm okay with this one, thank you.
Perfect, excellent. So basically that's the first part of our learning objectives, which was to kind of make you aware of the latest areas. I briefly touched on the three, which I thought was mainly the most important, but there are, as you saw on the list, there are more, and I will send you some more details on the other areas. But now there's kind of a little task in order to, can everyone see the screen at the moment?
Yeah.
I have sent you a Google document. If you can, do you have that available? Do you have that?
Yeah.
Just bear with, let me just get it on my screen as well. Just bear with me. Sorry, I'm quite new to Zoom, so I do flick around. Here we go. I can see that Steph's already working on it.
We can't see it on your screen again.
Okay, can you share me your screen? Is that possible?
Yeah, if you make me the host and stop sharing your screen, I should be able to share.
Do I get stop share? There we Oh, just 1 second. Sorry. I hope you can. There we go. Perfect. So that's yes. As you can see, Steph's rushing ahead with the challenge. I didn't even need to explain it. Um, but basically, yeah, it's what you can implement straight away in your classroom. So what you can go away with today after this and implement. What areas require more thinking, and what areas would be a challenge. For example, sign off if it's an expensive change and it needs a big sign off from the head office, things like that. So yeah, seems like yeah, it sounds like you've learned everything, Steph. You seem to be yeah, done well there.
Yeah, I really liked your idea. I liked that example that you shared with the Perspex screens. I just obviously, budgets are often quite tight in school.
Yeah,
So I think if we could get those, and definitely, I think you're right. I can't see how we're going to safely get everybody in and out without more gates, but I think that's obviously going to have quite a big cost implication. And I don't know, perhaps planning and things. So you've definitely given us lots to think about. Thanks, James.
Thanks. And Louise, how do you think you'll be able to implement things like the Perspex screens? Do you think it's possible?
I think the Perspex screens, we always seem to have budgets for things like that within our school. So I don't see that that's too much of an issue for us. I think our biggest challenge is going to be ensuring that desks are at 1.5 metres and how we're going to fit all of the children into the classroom. Our actual classroom sizes aren't the biggest, so that's going to be probably our biggest challenge when we're looking at fitting all the children in and ensuring that 1.5 metres. Timings of the day and the entrance points, we're quite fortunate really that we've got a range of entrance points across our school, but the classroom is a concern. We will have to look at alternative spaces within our school.
Okay, great. So yeah, I think that first area, I think we've picked up on all the key points I was looking to get to you. Can I get the screen back? Is that possible? I share the screen again. Okay. Am I sharing?
Try again now.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Excellent. So let's move on to the second part. So the second objective is how to manage a COVID-19 case. I think it's more about prevention first. So we need to try and prevent it. It's the easy way to manage it if we try to prevent it happening in the first place. So there's a few areas here in which someone should always, if you have these, or if a parent sees their child has these, they should stay at home. You shouldn't take that risk of coming into school. So, for example, fever, which we touched on, is the high temperature. If a child is that, don't even make the journey to school. Stay at home, monitor the fever. If it lowers in 24 hours, then that's good. They can come back to school. If it stays the same, then seek some medical advice. Then the second area is the upper respiratory symptoms. So this is an area in which COVID seems to focus on. So if you have a sore throat, a cough, difficult breathing, sudden loss of smell or taste, things like that, then stay at home. If you've been in contact with a COVID-19 case, stay at home. So for example, if you've been in a taxi with someone who later becomes COVID positive, then stay at home. Just monitor your symptoms. As I say, if you've been close to someone, there's a chance they could have passed it on to you. If you have any chronic medical conditions, I think things like diabetes, cancers, things like that. If you're pregnant, I know it's not a medical condition, but things like that, you just need to be a bit more cautious nowadays because people, I say, who have cancers, diabetes, are more vulnerable if they do get this virus. And things else, vomiting, fever, diarrhea, things like that. I mean, if you have these anyway, you tend to don't want to go to school anyway and go out anyway. I know if I'm vomiting, it's not the last thing I want to do is start going other places. I just want to stay in and get well again. So yeah, but a few more here. I won't go through them because they are pretty self-explanatory. I'll just pick a few of the main ones out. For example, if a student, staff member of the household is waiting a PCR test, so they've had a test, you should stay at home as well until that test if it comes back negative. And then a member of the household is unwell, also with fever or respiratory symptoms, I'd also stay at home as well. Sorry, did anyone have any questions on this area? I mean, it's
No, I think there's a lot of information there, but it's covering all different aspects.
Yeah. As I say, I will send it all to you at the end of this, with a few links to these, a bit more information from the NHS and what they advise as well. So I will send you that at the end. Moving on. So this is controlling a COVID case within your school. So basically, if it does come to play that you do have a case, it's how you manage it. There's different many ways, really. I thought a flow chart would work quite well because you don't want to get into a big manual. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted then. Please, yeah, if you you don't want to be going to a big manual, spending time looking at different areas. You want something quick and fast and effective. So I've come up with these. You can't actually, the slide's a bit vague, but I will go through it on my I printed a document up here. So basically, this is if a pupil or staff member presents with a COVID-19 symptom while in class. So basically, we're starting, the staff member has started the school with no symptoms. So they come into school, they're feeling fine. Then later on throughout the day, the staff member meets what we've just discussed in the last slide. So some of those key areas. So they've got fever, that they've got they've lost the smell or taste. That happens during the day. So then we'd send them up to a screening and isolation test. So that comes a little bit later on the second slide, which I will go into more detail on. Next stage, the staff member goes to the clinic for screening. So they've realised they've got something wrong with them. They go and have screened. Then the medical team then do the procedures. So they'll go through the screening and isolation procedures, testing them, making sure where they've been, what's been happening. Then this incident gets logged, and then the medical team informs the leadership team that one of their staff team members has potentially got coronavirus, and then the leadership team starts a safeguarding procedure. So sends this person home, monitors where they've been, works a strategy of getting them back into school, making sure they're healthy, making sure they're fit. As I say, this can be sorted out for your own schools. This is just a quick one I thought for the schools as a general, but obviously your schools are different. You'll have different kind of medical centres and things like that. But yeah, so that's that slide. And then moving on is the screening procedure, which I touched on here, the screening procedure. So they basically, the student, this is when the person's brought into the clinic. So the person's there, then basically has the student staff member been accompanied? So has someone come with them, which is kind of doubling the risk, so to say, if they are ill. If they have, then the first aider just briefly checks them, washes their hands, sanitizes them, checks the temperature, they get a new face mask, and then they can go back to the classroom then. Then the medical professional deals with the person that's been brought to them with the symptoms. So first of all, it gets logged. So this person's come in with these issues. And then following that, they start doing the test, making sure if they smell or taste, discomfort in any way, diarrhea, vomiting, the normal cases of what could be COVID. If it's a no, then has the student staff member been in close contact with anyone with COVID? If it's that, then that's a no again. Then they can carry on. It could potentially just be an illness, and then they just go away how they deal with the normal illness within the school. However, if it's yes, the person gets put into an isolation room, so they're not in contact with anyone else. Leadership team deals with the first aider speaks to the leadership team, and then that's when the safeguarding procedure comes in. The leadership team will start the safeguarding procedure, which we touched on in the last slide. But also, yeah, the first aider will then log that, and then that's that case. So yeah, very different, and they're quite hard to understand, but it will be different for your school. And it's a matter of just getting what works with you, what flow works best in your school. I mean, does that give you a good example of what you could kind of implement in your school in a flow diagram?
What would be the benefits of doing the flow diagram as opposed to doing like a policy and writing a policy? Why would you have the flow diagrams?
It's just ease of access, really. You don't want to, for example, if your policy's on your computer, on your laptop, and that's in a classroom down the corridor, you don't want to go and get your laptop, start looking for this policy and procedure. But these will be laminated and kind of put on your desk, just so it's quick, easy access. You're not fiddling around, wasting time, but sort of doing things like that. So yeah, that's the sole reason. I mean, feel free. You could have a policy and procedure on your laptop. I'm just kind of giving you a guide of what we recommend. It's not set in stone, and you can do what suits you.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, that's about it, I think, in terms of that. I have just 1 second. Just share my screen. Sorry, yes, and so that's final now. That's both objectives gone through, and this is the last activity. So it's going to be a little quiz just on the last bit. If you can, we'll try again. I know we had problems last time with this Menti. So if you can go to menti.com, put in the below code, and then hopefully we should be able to have a little quiz just to kind of go over what we've done. Can everyone see my screen?
Can you just share with me the code again, please?
Yeah, 50.
Yeah.
81.
Yeah.
61.
613.
3.
Thank you.
Are you both in? I can see 2 applicants. I can see you both here. So if we get started. Question there coming up. Oh, so 1 person right, 1 person wrong. Who got it right? Who put all the above?
I did.
Maybe, Steph, you perhaps rushed in there and didn't read all the answers. I know when I did it, I think I did the same thing, and went with the first one. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought I could click more than one, so I started clicking the bottom one. You're right, James. I need to read carefully.
I did exactly the same thing myself. And go, let's try to get to question 2. There we go. That's what I was looking for. That question 2. Yep, perfect. That's one of the. There you go. Got it perfect. Well done, guys. Don't need to go into any more detail. If your staff member presents you with symptoms during a school day, what should you do? One answer. Just waiting for Louise. You okay, Louise?
Yep, just entered it now.
Sorted. Send them to isolation and home, follow the chart, and go to school nurse. Yeah, I think they're both right, really. But it's kind of the flow chart, follow the flow chart, go to the nurse, and yeah, go to isolation. Yeah, well done. A pupil has had close contact with a confirmed case. Do you wait for the parent to collect the child from the classroom, send the child to the first aider, or send the child to the isolation room without informing anyone? Well, that was quick. Oof, both the same answers. Well done. Sorry. Oof, have we had that? I think. Sorry, it's going. Why should we check temperatures of anyone entering school? As a high temperature. Oh, so Pink gets it right again. A high temperature may be an indicator of COVID because, yeah, it doesn't actually mean you have COVID. It is an indicator. So there we
I think I got that one right.
Yeah, I think I didn't read it properly on that one.
Oh, rushed into it. So well done.
Rushed in then.
Oh, you actually both evens by lots of things. Ah, so it's a tie. I think, yeah, I think you both would have been fine, but you just rushed in on a couple of the answers instead of reading them. But I think you didn't actually know it when the answer came up. You were kind of probably kicked yourself. But, yeah, it didn't work well. Well, excellent, perfect. So, well done there. It went well. I think, and we've had that one. Perfect. So yeah, summarize. So yeah, guys, what do you think? What can you take away? What have you learned from the session?
I think you've definitely given us a lot to think about. I've just been making a list while you've been talking. I think there's quite a lot that I need to maybe go away. I think we're already doing quite a few of the things that you mentioned, but there's definitely additional measures that we can put into place. And I really liked the way that you presented it so clearly with the flow chart. I know Louise asked earlier about the benefits of that over a policy, but I think that the flow chart was really clear and easy to see. And I think if people feel panicked, if somebody's presenting with a temperature, then that's quite an easy way for them to know what to do next.
Yeah. Okay, great. And you feel you can implement a few of these into your skills straight away?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. And
yeah, I think with what Steph said, there's a lot to consider. We are doing lots of things, but clearly we're not doing as much as the information you've given us. So it's been really, really useful, lots of food for thought, and really useful to take back to the leadership team and to discuss with them kind of our next steps in making our school a safer place for everyone, for children and staff and everyone that enters, particularly in the current climate. So there was definitely a lot to take away from, and really well presented. So thank you.
the aims and objectives, do you feel we met the criteria at the start from what we set out at the start to learn?
Yeah, I do. I feel that, we've got a lot more information on how to keep the school safe and also what to do if there is a suspected case of COVID within school.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so thanks. I'd like to both, first of all, as I say, I will be emailing you the documents, the slides and some links to NHS guidelines on different methods of COVID and how to prevent it. And also I will be sending out a feedback form to rate my performance. Obviously, it's a different environment for me doing via Zoom. I would normally be face-to-face in the classroom, so this is new. So any feedback, any little tweaks you can recommend, that'd be greatly appreciated. So yeah, I'd just like to thank you for your attendance. And also any other, if you feel you want some training in different areas, whatever it could be within the school, if you can drop me an email, my website email address below, with what ideas you have, we can set up some more training sessions. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.